You can't do wrong things and then sit there and imagine we will just, yeah, amen, hallelujah. No, we'll smoke you out. We demonstrated when Alexander Muge was killed because we knew government was involved. We demonstrated when Robert Ouko was killed. Why did they kill him? Young people, you are not the leaders of tomorrow. Let nobody ever, ever convince you about waiting for tomorrow. You lead. We have some of the most useless governments without ideology, without knowledge, without clue. They're just in office to loot. If I had a gun and I was told this is someone who has continually messed this country for 15 years out, in 2022, I ran, except for the useless IEBC. That if there was one message that we would like to leave with the people of Kenya, with the people of Africa, with the people all over the world, it is that there is hope. This vacuum is too big. Unless God intervenes, I am done. Those of you who have lost, the will to go on again and the will to sing, I'm asking the Lord to put the song back, And there I was thinking I was writing my last album, If you listen to the lyrics that I write around this period, 1999 to 2001, there is a cycle of nihilistic thinking. So I just began to write material expressing what was going on inside, Never Alone, highway material, I've Been Searching, Sweet Bunyore, that's when it was, Do You Remember Me? And Back to My Childhood. Now, how did I navigate? I would say my...
Sure that you were blocked?
What do you mean, not sure? I am the one who was running and I have the data.
There was a lot
I have legal...
there was a lot of legal
Yes,
matters.
I took them to court 3 times.
Did you lose in court?
I won twice. And they made me lose the last one because they played a trick on me. You want to know the trick?
Aha.
So first of all, if you are looking at the legal process, there was the Dispute Resolution Committee, DRC, by IEBC. I don't like Chebukati, but I also don't like Cherera because it's Cherera who read that ruling that I don't qualify. Qualify for what?
By the Dispute Resolution Committee?
Yes. So number 2, we went to court to quash the whole issue of having to collect people's IDs. You're infringing on people's privacy, okay? We won. We showed that IEBC was wrong on imposing that on us as candidates, especially independent candidates. Thirdly, I took them to court because they were violating my rights to run as a citizen, but also as a person living with disability. They should have been enabling me, not disabling me. Yeah, the Constitution provides for it. The UN Charter provides for inclusion. Who are they? What audacity do they have to exclude me? For what? Is it because I did not qualify? EACC would clear me. Is it because I don't have education? They wanted degrees. I have more than one. So it was very clear, and I can now tell you why they were blocking me. But let me back up and say, Justice Mrima of Milimani Courts ruled in that second case that I should be included on the ballot. Guess what? Chebukati says, I'm going to include you. But then 2 days before our meeting of inclusion, he goes to the Court of Appeal to stay the judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And as you interviewing me today, that case has never been heard.
Since it was stayed?
Yes. That tells you it was deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something technical.
There was a time he mentioned that the ballot papers had already been printed.
Total nonsense and rubbish. I mean, 2 reasons. 1, whose mistake was it? You don't make a mistake and then you tell me the mistake has happened. Who made the mistake? But two, the Mombasa gubernatorial and Kakamega gubernatorial races were repeated.
They were delayed, yeah.
So, how come they could do that one and not mine? Nonsense. Total nonsense. So I don't stomach nonsense. I can listen to reason and logic. It was illogical, irrational, but also in bad taste, malicious.
What was the calculation?
So here's the calculation.
What was the calculation?
So they stay the judgment, okay? That says include Reuben. Why so? Because it was the technical way of blocking me in case I go to the Supreme Court.
Because now...
So I went to the Supreme Court anyway. Mm-hmm. And what did Martha Koome rule? She said she has no power to rule in my case because the matter is alive in the Court of Appeal. So that's how technical, that's how nonsensical this judicial system is. But now I can tell you why I was blocked. Number one, the Christian vote. You know the music. The church loves my music. The church accepts me as a person.
So you were going to spoil the man.
So I was going to spoil the church vote for Ruto. We don't mince words because he was counting on the church votes. So he had a hand.
So he needed the
He had a hand in blocking me. That's what I'm trying to say. But even Azimio had something to do with it because when I took my case to the Supreme Court, there are some of those that were saying it be thrown out. So, anyways, number two, the vote of persons living with disability. Do you know how many persons living with disability are eligible voters?
No.
1.7 million.
That's a huge number.
Okay? And I'm not saying that all of them would have voted for me. No. And neither am I saying all the Christians would have voted for me. But like the IBC lawyer said, and I have a recording on my phone, in court, he said, if you include Reuben Kigame on the ballot, then none of the two candidates, the forerunners, will get 50 plus 1.
In the first round. Or even in the second round.
Who cares? 10 rounds, whatever. So, I can tell you also, you had your camera person referring to me as Papa Kigs.
Yeah.
I'm very agile with the young people. I'm at home with the youth. And most of them did not vote because they had no candidate to vote for. Yeah. And not just the youth. Actually, if you quantify, you'll get more than 8 million that saw no reason to vote. That is scientifically proven. Yes. So, my point was that looking back, I think they probably feared I was a serious candidate. But I have news for you. I will be back.
2027?
Or earlier.
Or earlier. Interesting.
Or later.
Interesting. You are a pretty wealthy man. Would you say that?
What did you say?
You are relatively wealthy.
Oh, first of all, let us define wealth.
Okay. Mm-hmm. When did you make your first million?
First what?
Million shillings. $1 million.
Oh, never. When I was running the radio station, that's when I saw the million for the first time.
From the business?
Yeah. Yeah. Never before.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have properties?
I do have a property in Eldoret. I do have a car. And I do have a brain.
That makes the millions?
Yeah, I would say through that makes my wealth, whether millions or hundreds. So that, for example, my income as a teacher was from the payslip. Yeah. And then when I went into broadcasting. There was the business, of course, bringing in some, a bit of advertising. But there was a time I also ran a cafe right in Eldoret town at Zion Mall. So there was a bit of profit from that as well. Of course, it's all eaten up now because I shut down the cafe as well. I've had considerable income, not a whole lot, from my music. You sell the CDs, and sometimes you do concerts and people.
YouTube?
And YouTube as well. But now, the challenge, as you have seen on social media, has been that you make the money and somebody else eats it. That's why I've been vocal again about MCSK and Prisk and so on.
I've heard that.
Yeah, because not just me, they are robbing, musicians and artists in general, even film stars and so on, of their hard-earned sweat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Would you say you are a businessman of any sorts?
I don't think so.
Why not?
I do business, but it's not my cup of tea. I do business to make profits and take care of my family. But if you were to give me the arts or politics or broadcasting, I would run for those, and music and so on. I say the arts, yeah. So I would go that direction instead of sit at a shop or a restaurant, turning mandazis.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We had scheduled to do 1 hour. I'm looking at the clock, and we are doing 1 hour, 1:15.
Yeah, I need to run
past.
though.
Yeah, and I want us to conclude this conversation. Would you say that God took some things from you? Have you lost some things through the hand of God?
Yes and no. Some things I have lost because, God directly engineered my loss. Some of them have been taken away by people.
Let's talk about the things that God engineered,
Okay.
the losses.
Certainly my sight. Yeah. It can be tracked to, a disease, a cataract, but he allowed it. And I have biblical evidence for that. In Exodus 4, God is talking to Moses, sending him to redeem the people of Israel. And Moses says, I can't speak, I'm a stammerer. And so Exodus 4:11, God speaking to Moses, he asks Moses, who made man's mouth? Who makes him deaf or mute or blind? And the average pastor or Christian will say the devil. But the last part of that verse says, is it not I, the Lord? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you look at the story of Job and you see God's hand in it. So he takes away, the devil goes before God and says, Job loves you for, because you've surrounded him, and so take away from him and he'll curse you. And God says, no, he won't do that. So says, yeah, try it. So you know the story of Job.
Yeah.
So God allowed it. Paul in 2 Corinthians 11 has what he describes as a thorn in the flesh, a messenger of Satan to buffet him. And, he says in verse 7 to 10 that he talked to God 3 times for God to take it away. And God said, no, Paul, my grace is sufficient for you. So God did not take it away. And reading the rest of the epistles, I realized it was a visual challenge, actually. Mm-hmm. So God does allow. He doesn't manufacture evil, but he can allow certain things that we find disadvantageous to happen. Yeah, and so for me, that would be a direct thing I can prove from scripture that God allowed. As for something like, the loss of my wife, I'm remarried now, but the loss of Mercy, everybody around me talks about, God wanted it, God loved her more than, and we make such careless statements sometimes. But it was a matatu driver that took the life of my wife. There is a causal connection. Yeah. Bad driving habits. He was overtaking when he shouldn't have, etc., and rammed into her. So how do I go and say God did it? For example, the recent floods in Nairobi and around the country. We don't plan for the water, then we blame God. No, I can't blame God for, some diseases. I can't blame God for garbage. I can't. so yeah. And it's the floods in Budalangi and Nyando. Yeah. Honestly.
One of the most persistent ones.
Persistent is the key. Why is it persisting? And we have all these scientists, disaster management students. Masinde Muliro is chucking so many out. They're not giving them a chance, employing them to solve the problem. Why? Because our priorities are different and all over the place. Yeah.
Do you ask him sometimes why he took your side now that you've confirmed that he had a hand in it?
I used to. I no longer.
Quite a short answer.
You want a longer one? We can philosophize. I can give you a 3-hour answer if you want.
Make it 3 minutes.
No, unless you ask something specific.
Okay.
Because, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ask sometimes why? Would it be that your greatness would have come out better without physical sight? Have you ever come to such a conclusion?
No. Instead, I've come to fear. Yeah. So, for example, you may find this really shocking, but there are advantages of being blind. What if I was to look straight into all this pornography on television and the billboards and, the internet? God rescues some people in a very big way. And there is a sense, in fact, I was joking with some of my friends and I told them, shida kubwa ya Kenya ni kwamba viongozi wetu wanaona sana. Whatever they see, they want. So I would say there is a sense in which I fear because of the radical nature of my, if I could go anywhere I wanted, any time I wanted to go, and no limitations, it would be a nice thing, but sometimes it's scary.
That would be your answer.
You want more?
What are some of the things you wish you could see?
The expanse of the skies, the stars at night, certainly the extent of the depth of the forests and the lakes and the rivers. Certainly I wish I would stare long enough into my children's eyes and certainly, perhaps enjoy the details behind certain panoramic views and so on. So,
Yesterday was Father's Day, by the way.
Yeah.
You have a message for them? Your children?
My children. I have a message for the fathers.
Aha.
It was Father's Day.
Let's go.
Happy Father's Day.
I was hoping for a more special, more.
That is not special?
More imaginative or thoughtful?
You mean that was
More
thoughtless?
radical, more radical,
Radical?
more.
There's nothing about, wishing somebody a Father's Day celebration that is anything different from wishing them a happy Father's Day. When I tell you I'm happy to meet you, there's no logical angle to it. I'm happy. It's a bubbly thing.
Fair enough.
It's a bougie thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair. Maybe I would give you a chance to do a final message to the young people from the depths of your heart.
Wow. Now we are talking. You ungenipa 15 minutes. So I have 3 things for the young people. I have more, but let me say 3. First of all, young people, you are not the leaders of tomorrow. Let nobody ever, ever convince you about waiting for tomorrow. You lead now. I see prefects in primary school. I see excellent rugby guys in high school, basketball, all these athletes. They're not waiting for tomorrow. No, they're already shining where they are. Artists, great musicians, even in class 7 and 8. So, nobody should make you think that now you postpone things to tomorrow. Do your very best with today. Number 2, do not allow anyone to look down on you because you are young. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Prove yourself. Show them, because most of you young people are more capable than a lot of people my age and older than you. Yeah. So there are things you are uniquely wired to do that nobody else can do. So do not let anybody come and tell you, sijui, what, gava what. No. Don't be looked down upon. You prove yourself. Always prove yourself that you are capable, and you'll be given more and more opportunities. And lastly, I would say, take whatever you have in your hands. Skill, knowledge, a thought, a talent, and be the best at it. It will send you to places. Even where things have failed, some things you perfect will actually make you sit with kings and queens. If I dare push a 4th one, just in, a bonus, I would say, I would like to tell you the future is bright. Go into it. We have prepared what we can of the future for you. Take it over. The future is for you.
That was powerful.
Oh.
My hand is stretched out.
Yeah.
To greet you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kigame.
Karibu.
To our viewers, this was Reuben Kigame. For those of you who have not seen him, or those of you who don't know him. And as we promised, this is a promise that we want to keep.
The next president of the Republic of Kenya.
This
is the 6th.
This is Reuben Kigame. He says he is the 6th.
He doesn't believe it, but I'm going to be.
And as we promised, we will keep bringing you in-depth conversations with leaders, and seasoned leaders at that, people who've established their acumen in different realms of leadership and politics and business. And this is to inform your mind and influence you into, shaping you into becoming the better version of yourself. Keep it at the Mind of a Leader podcast. If you haven't subscribed, currently over 80% of our viewers haven't subscribed. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll let you know who our next guest is, probably midweek or somewhere coming next week. So thank you very much. Watch out for our next episode.